zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it soul. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a waffle wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.
Welcome back to another edition of Cowboy Game Day Live. Week 2, Skywalker still. Jesse, Holley, you ready, bro?
Let's do it.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it. We got a big one today. Cowboys versus Bengals right across the street at AT&T Stadium. We are here live at Texas Live in the Miller Lite Room. I actually like this room a lot, man. So I wouldn't mind coming back, Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not opposed to it. I like the people. I like being outside with the people.
I do like that too, though.
I like the crowd. I like the energy because I'm an energy guy. So when the energy is good, it fuels my energy. I get to see the people coming and going, and I like that.
I mean, maybe one day we'll get big enough they put us on the big stage.
You know what? Let's do it. I think we're gonna get to that point. I think we're gonna get to the point where they got to put us. They have to put us on the big stage.
Facts. We getting there, man. Shout out to those who are joining us today over on Facebook, on YouTube. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the Bomb Squad. And of course, Game Day Live is presented by Underdog Fantasy. We got our high-low game coming up later at the end of the pregame show. I love that game. It's fun. It's also, I hate to use the word. I don't want to use the word. Let's just say this. You have an ample amount of time, opportunity to win money.
Yes.
We'll just say that. So stick around for that. My high lows, I think, they'll come to fruition today. I'm pretty confident in that, Jesse. But let's just attack this game today, starting with the game day catch-up. And we're going to get to the inactives first, which we have them right here. Some of these are not a shocker. Some of them may be. But Dak Prescott is out. Michael Gallup is out. Connor McGovern, Jaron Kearse, Nashawn Wright. And then, of course, Jalen Tolbert and Jabril Cox are the two that, again, raised the eyebrows to me. So this second week in a row, your third-round pick is not active, Jesse. A little concerned, or just like, well, this is how it is?
I mean, this is the transition part. And people try to kill me, and there's anomalies and there's examples, but when you have a guy who comes from a lesser conference than you're used to, Georgia Southern, and you're trying to come in, he missed some time for the hamstring injury, and you're just trying to find your way. This game is a lot faster than what you're used to, and so trying to get out there and really put yourself in a position to be ready for game day. And he's just coming up short on that. But that's not the most important one to me. And I know you're going to say, Dak, no. This Jaron Kearse thing. And I had a segment on one of my shows this week, and I said, 1 dot, 2 dot, green dot, who dot.
That's cold. I like that.
And the reason being because you just think, we're just losing a player in Jaron Kearse.
Right.
You're losing the green dot. And for those of you that don't know, the green dot is the defensive quarterback on the team. He has the helmet. All the calls come into him. He relays the calls to the defense, and then he essentially is the quarterback of the defense. He gets those guys lined up. He's a guy who's able to make audibles and changes. And so you don't just lose that. You lose the guy who's going to be the green dot, and most of the time, the guy who wears the green dot plays about all of the snaps defensively. So who's going to now fill that role of the green dot wearer? If you remember, Micah Parsons initially wore the green dot a year ago, but it was so much going on for him. On defense, he was defensive end, he was a linebacker, he was all over the place. They said, let's take the green dot away from him so he can just focus on playing football. Now, I don't know if they give it back to him or who they give it to, but now that's a new added responsibility for someone who has to go on the football field. And if it's Leighton Vander Esch, he's a guy who sometimes they took off the field in nickel situations. So you got to kind of play of these are all the little things that you may not recognize, but that green dot and not having Jaron Kearse being on the football field, not only his play, his coverage, his ferociousness, his aggressiveness, but his ability to call the plays to the defense, get guys lined up, be able to call some of the audibles, and have guys in place to be successful. Dan Quinn He's now has to find another green dot guy, and that guy now has to be a part of the game plan fully.
Speaking of Dan Quinn, he came out this week and he pretty much let us know just how important J-Ron Curse's role is, because he brought up 3 different dang on names to replace one guy.
Yep.
He brought up Izzy, he brought up Bell, and he brought up Malik Hooker. I'm sorry, Donovan Wilson. Donovan Wilson. So he talked about those 3 guys coming together collectively to help with the absence of J-Ron Curse.
And that's
crazy.
A lot of that comes down to coverage skills, tackling skills, and then leadership skills.
Yeah.
All that is encompasses in one player in J-Ron Curse, is being able to be that big nickel, right? Still be in that area where he's not afraid of the contact to come up and lay the boom, but also be able to cover tight ends and running backs and some receivers in the middle of the field in that slot position at times, and then be the guy who is the knowledgeable guy in that secondary to get guys lined up.
He brought up Leighton Vander Esch. I think that's the guy who will be given that role. I believe that's the guy who was given it during the camp when they were trying to do the mock situation. And it really wasn't mock because J-Ron Curse was out for a while.
Right.
Remember that, he got hurt. So if if LVE is that guy, that means, and I didn't think about this, he might have to play 95% of the snaps, which if there's any indication that may be the case, Jabril Cox is inactive again, a guy who can help in the passing game department. Oh, by the way, you're playing a team who loves to pass the ball, who's going to try to take advantage of a lot of the space, and we'll get to these details here in a second, a lot of the space that's going to be created from the wide receivers and the depth that the receivers get to and the quarterback that you have and the respect you're going to have. So it might be a long day for Leighton Vander Esch, not in the sense of he'll play bad, but literally he may play
It's a long day.
A lot of snaps today.
And if your offense isn't helping you, you're talking about now being on the field for 30, 35, 37, 38, 40 minutes at times. You know, they lost the defense lost the battle last week and being on the field for a very long time.
Yeah.
And again, this game may be back and forth earlier in the game, but when you get into that deep water, that middle of the third quarter, heading into the fourth quarter, and guys are now breathing heavy, and those body shots have now beginning to affect you, will you have the mental makeup, because fatigue will make a counter out of all of us, in the fourth quarter to go ahead and make that tackle or just take that extra hard step to be in coverage? All those things matter in tight football games, especially in the fourth quarter.
Well, that means that the offense is going to have to step up this week, and we're going to break all that down as we finish with the game day catch-up here. Cowboys did IR Terrell Basham, and they waived Ridgeway. They'll see if he clears waivers and bring him back. We'll see what happens there. They called up Lindstrom today because, remember, McGovern can't play, and then Will Greer also got the call up to be the backup quarterback because Cooper Rush, what a rush. Cooper Rush is your guy today, and I'm hoping we kind of have a repeat of last year when I wasn't feeling so great about the situation. But we somehow got a victory. We'll get to that at the very end. Let's kind of there's a little bit of a transition here into the offense, but it's more so about the coaching situation because Friday was interesting. Friday, mark that date down in the Mike McCarthy Dallas Cowboys era. Seriously, mark it down, because he came out and he finally said enough is enough. It's time for a change. Literally, he kind of said that in a sense of it's time for a change. I'm paraphrasing some of these quotes he said here, but McCarthy came out, Jesse, and talked about how he had to, or him and Kellen had to focus on the play sheet more, right? He said that we have to be smarter in our play calling. We kind of have to be a bit more conservative because he's had the authority to be aggressive due to the personnel. And he also talked about how he's not a fan of option routes, which I thought was interesting because he went into the details. I actually want to play that clip, if you don't mind, Cowboys Nation, if I can bring it up here. I want to play that clip. Take a listen to Mike McCarthy speaking about the specifics of this scheme.
This is my favorite. So we get to talk a little ball here. But no, I've never been a big option route thrower. Your concept in the past. If you're going to run option routes, you need to live in that world. That's been my experience. You can't dab on it. Option routes are really not part of the old traditional West Coast offense. I've had quarterbacks in the past that didn't really like them, and it's really about the connection that they have with the receiver. I've been in systems where only certain guys run them. This is the most aggressive system that I've been in as far as many people that do run the option routes. And so I think you see our commitment to practice. We practice option routes. You're putting the decision making into the receiver's hands. It's not into the court. Quarterback obviously has ultimate decision where to throw the ball, but there's decision making in a route as opposed to, maybe just one route adjustment. So it takes a lot of extra time.
And it just so happens that I have a former professional NFL wide receiver here.
Yeah.
See, to me as a non-player, that to me was striking. That to me was like, huh. I mean, I knew option routes that the receiver and the quarterback had to be on the same page. But when he talked about, hey, man, usually that means they have to have a connection, I got to thinking, well, how do any of these quarterbacks have a legitimate connection with a undrafted guy out there, with two other guys who've never caught a pass in the NFL, and another dude who has less than 50 receptions in 6 years? Oh, and by the way, C.D. Lamb has only played in 18 full games out of 33 with your quarterbacks, or quarterback in regards to that. So in my head, Jesse, if it's about communication, if it's about having that connection, you rolled out a situation where that is almost impossible. It's almost impossible to develop that in 3 months, in 2 months, whatever it's going to be, right, for training camp. But we did it anyway, and the game plan went that way. So I'm kind of speaking out of frustration. So I will pass it on to you as a wide receiver if you want to maybe elaborate a little bit on what he was saying about the option and how the receiver can dictate that, and the quarterback has to be on it too.
Well, first and foremost, you have to understand where Mike McCarthy comes from. He comes from a West Coast offense system. That's a quick-hitting, timing type of offense. It's the ball is coming out quick. The ball is coming out quick, and then every now and again you'll take a play-action pass and you'll go down the football field. When you're talking about being heavy on the option routes, that means it basically just given to you raw and uncut is I need a guy or guys to be able to win their one-on-one matchups. The problem what they've been having with this sort of offense and these option routes is this. One, you've taken away the one guy that you've had who was automatically winning in Amari Cooper. And this offense in general, it dates back to the early days, even with Michael Irvin. It's predicated. It is so vital and essential. It is the engine to the Ferrari is that you have to have a solid number one wide receiver, a receiver that can win on a consistent basis. That then gives you the ability, because the option routes take time. They aren't quick-hitting routes.
That's what he said, yeah.
So I need a guy that's going to be able to win. I need a guy that's going to be able to see it, understand it, and then attack it. Second thing on that is the problem that the Cowboys are having now, no one fears their running game. So now it's hard to run an option route into 8 individuals.
Exactly, yeah.
So the defense is dropping back, and they're just sitting there saying, all right, where are you going to go? And now as a receiver, if you're not really, really locked in, hell, now you're guessing, where do I go? If this is an option route, well, it looked like cover 2 when I started. Now it's cover 3 or it's cover 4. Or it looked like man when I started. Now they went from man to cover 4. So now you're thinking, and then now that slows up the timing. And that's why you have a quarterback back there kind of patting the ball saying, what, I thought it was this. They thought it was. So now you have to have that connection of, is the quarterback and the receiver both seeing the same thing? And so every time you begin to add more younger, newer, fresher faces to this, it takes more time. They'll tell you in New England, it takes a solid 2 years for you to be in that offense because their offense is a variation of some of the West Coast quick stuff, but also some of the option route stuff. And so now you can have 2 or 3 options in a route depending on how the coverage goes. You need a quarterback that is in that, has been in that, and is able to see that, but you also need receivers who are also able to do the same thing. So all of that being said, Mike McCarthy was just saying, hey, because y'all been coming out blaming people this week, and what y'all not going to do is blame me.
Yeah.
Because this ain't my offense. When I signed up for this, y'all said that y'all already had an offensive coordinator. And this offensive coordinator was running this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I let him do his thing. And now that it really ain't working because teams have said, well, we don't fear you doing that, so we're going to take away this, it makes it now harder to do what you're opposed to do in your offense in the option routes, because now you're throwing it into 8-9 defenders.
And now we're in year 3 of these 2 guys together, and I told you before the show, I think year 1 he was like, that gets hurt. I understand it. Year 2, you dealt with some in and outs. The offensive line, your quarterback got hurt. I think he was like, okay, you start off hot, things got weird, I'll let you sift through it. It took 1 week in year 3 for him to be like, hey, man, we got to focus on this play sheet. We got to make this thing a little bit more simpler, especially today, right? Especially today because you've got your backup quarterback here, which leads me in to the next question here. What would be the smart game plan offensively this week since the team has to rally behind a Cooper Rush who, make no mistake about it, this is a downgrade from the quarterback position.
Not according to Phil Simms.
Not according to Phil, not according to a lot of Cowboys fans. I understand your quarterback had a terrible game week 1. Make no mistake about it, the actual quarterback talent and play and whatever the hell you want to call it is a downgrade.
Yes.
So that means everyone else has to now rise even higher, in my opinion, than they had to do the week before,
right.
Coaching included. I have been thinking, even before week 2, hey, man, got to run the ball. Got to protect your defense. Got to make it simplify this. All these kind of simple things I was talking about for week 1, I'm just, what do you call it? Put it in a loop.
Put it in a loop.
Put it in a loop because maybe even more so this week with Cooper Rush, which what I'm doing is I'm being sarcastic. The game plan that I thought they should have had llast week, just go ahead and carry it over for this week.
Right.
That's kind of how I'm looking at it. But what do you think they should do this week from an offensive standpoint to try to stay afloat here and give themselves a chance?
I called this game all week long. This is a coordinator's contract game. This is one of those games where you earn your paycheck as a coordinator. You got to be able to come out and put together a game plan. And I know a lot of people are going to say, Cooper Rush, well, go look what he did last year against Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we put it back to tape, we're going to say, hey, Cooper Rush, hey, Kellen Moore, run the football. Well, that wasn't the case last year either. Zeke only carried the ball 16 times for 50 yards last year against Minnesota. They threw the ball 40 times last year against Minnesota for 325 yards and a touchdown. So a lot of times, they're going to say, well, go ahead and pass the ball. Well, here's why that becomes a lot more difficult this time. Because out of the 40 passing attempts, 24 of those went to CeeDee Lamb, Cedric Wilson, Amari Cooper. Amari was 8 for 122. CeeDee was 6 for 112. Cedric Wilson was 3 for 84. And he had a passing yard for 35 yards. So he basically
2 CD.
Yeah, right. So he was worth 100 yards of offense. So 2 of those guys are no longer on your roster.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you also don't have your left tackle. You're still experimenting with that. Oh, by the way, what I told people a lot of times before, we've given Terrence Steele, your first cousin, a pass. He didn't do too well last week. So all these things come into play, and now you're starting to say, well, what kind of game plan do you want to put in? At this point in time, you got to find a way to be super creative because one way or the other, you can't be dominant on either one of them. I don't think you're going to be able to be dominant running the football, and I don't think you're going to be able to throw the ball 40 times again for 325 yards and a touchdown. That kind of stuff is what you're going to have to deal with today. This goes back to Mike McCarthy saying we have to be smarter. And where I blame Mike McCarthy is in this game plan, you got to get on that headset when something is going good and say to your offensive coordinator, hey, run the ball again. We got something going there. Don't come out of this. Run it again. In fact, run the same play again. We got some good. Oh, hey, Kellen, hey, pass it this time. Like you have to be encouraging to your offensive coordinator or saying, hey, listen, these plays right here that we ran are really good against this defense. Let's kind of put those in the forefront of our minds on something that we can actually go out there and do. And don't just let them go out there and just have this thing willy-nilly, and now you find yourself in the fourth quarter saying, well, I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah, I can't. My fear is that they roll this same game plan out here where it's like, all right, hey, it's whoever's open type of situation, right? It's not focused on the playmakers that they have. And again, I sound like a broken damn record, but
put it on the loop.
Put it on the damn loop. But you still have CeeDee Lamb out there. Well, yeah, he may not be the Amari Cooper number. I know damn well he ain't Amari Cooper number 1, but he's still a guy that if you put the ball in his hands in advantageous situations, he can do some things. Dalton Schultz may not be like a playmaker, but he can be a consistent guy, right? Tony Pollard can do some things for you. Put it on the loop. Kevontae Turpin. Maybe you do something there. And Ezekiel Elliott. You have enough guys to, if you focus on those guys, I would live or die with them. I would live or die. I wouldn't come out here and run a bunch of mirror routes and run a bunch of, all right, man, you got to make the right choice pre-snap, because if you don't, it's either sack or you got to force it. Because that's what it seemed like was happening last week. You drop back, and if you pick the wrong side, too many times he'd go to Noah Brown. I kept saying go to 88, not 85. He'd go to Noah Brown, and that's covered, and you don't have time to come back. Because the offensive line, and again, it didn't play terrible, but it wasn't 2016. It's 2014. So I think they should come out and focus. And I know this is going to sound cliche, but I'm almost looking for and this is going to sound bad, but I'm almost looking for like a 40 carry type of situation, bro. I know that sounds terrible because you're making it seem like Cooper Rush is a high school quarterback, right? But I'm looking at it as the offense needs to play keep away. I listened to your podcast with Hanging with the Boys with Nate this past, was it Friday?
Yep.
And Nate and you guys were talking about it's kind of that way, like keeping it away from Joe Burrow and those boys, which we'll get to in a second. But you did say something that I echo. At the end of the day, he is the quarterback, he is a professional, and he's going to have to make some plays. And I think it's going to be those small opportunities, those small windows. It may only be 5 of them in the whole game.
Right.
He's got to convert on more than half.
And the thing is that if you go back, the only tape that we have in live action, we have to go back to the Minnesota game. And even one of the biggest plays that he made in that game was kind of almost a YOLO ball to Amari Cooper, who fought back inside.
Yeah, it was picked off, the dude dropped it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he fought back inside and made a play on it. I mean, like, so there are opportunities where you're saying someone's going to have to make a play. Who's going to be that someone that's going to step up and make a football play for this quarterback, because he's going to need it. He can't have, 2 or 3 guys dropping balls, over the middle or converting on, trying to convert on third down and it doesn't happen. Like, there is no room today for error because he doesn't have the skill set. And your offense, we've been watching football games all morning, and there's been a common theme of certain things. You're like, man, this offense is struggling. It came to a point now, Jameis Winston in the Saints game is throwing 2-3 interceptions. But
Big sixes and whatnot.
It was 3-3. And you said to me, you was like, man, it's crazy. Tom Brady has only got 22 points in 7 quarters. Yeah. It's wild what happened when you don't have any weapons. And that's like a novelty. Like, yeah, if you don't have any weapons, here's what happens to you. And they don't have Godwin, and they don't have
Julio
Jones,
and
Mike Evans gets ejected. So it's like, oh yeah, it's tough to score touchdowns. It's tough to score points.
He's the GOAT.
And he's the GOAT. and this is the GOAT of quarterbacks. It's tough even for the GOAT to go out there and play a special brand of football when you don't have any weapons. So now when you come and you ask a guy who is a backup with only 1 career start to go out there and do GOAT-like things with very limited weapons, it just really makes it tough for you to go out there and do that.
I've been having this thought process in my head ever since Mike McCarthy said we got to be a little bit more smarter and / conservative. I'm like, that's probably true. Today, that's probably true. But if I'm Cooper Rush, I mean, he's playing with house money. In essence, he's playing with house money. So if he's playing with house money, maybe you throw more YOLO balls today. I'm just talking this out with y'all, Nation, and with Jesse. What I mean by that is, oh, man, I got one-on-one over here with, I don't care who it is at this damn point. Then there's Noah, Lamb, just somebody. I got one-on-one over here. The pressure's not been, it's been getting to me a little bit. Let me just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, 5-step drop and give him a shot.
Right.
Because think about it. If he has a bad game, it's Cooper Rush.
Yeah, but let me just kind of combat that a little bit. You play YOLO ball with a guy who's been nipping on your heels all training camp.
Oh, well, yeah.
So now you go.
The lease is short, then.
Right.
Yeah.
So now they've had you for a couple years. They've given you the nod in hopes that you can kind of pull out another, a miracle in Minnesota again. But don't forget, there's a guy who, had he not had a groin injury,
might be too.
He might be in this spot.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go. You want to go out there and say, "Hey, hey, look, coach. When we go back and look at the film, hey, I made my reads right. I went here. This is what the offense said I was supposed to do." Because if you get out there and you go all Ben DiNucci, then they go. You know what? Let's give Will Greer a shot. See what he can do in week 3, and then we have to make a decision on where we go in week 4. So
this is why I talk it out, because you're right about it.
Yeah.
He can't necessarily go out there YOLO.
Yeah.
Because he's not even secure in his job. You know what I'm saying?
You YOLO that thing right to somebody else.
YOLO here, bro.
Yeah, you alley-oop the Grill Greg. Will Grill be like, thank you.
No, that's actually that's you're right. You're right. Maybe we shouldn't do the YOLO thing.
I'm not saying don't take no shots, but understand if you go out there and you're completely off of what the game plan was, then as a coach staff, I'm going to say, all right, well, we don't have Dak Prescott for however many more weeks. He don't know what the hell going on.
Yeah.
Let's give the other kid a shot. Like, let's just see if we can't, pull something out of this one and strike lightning in this bottle with Will Grier. And you just never know about these things, especially in these unpredictable situations.
Then what I hope they do then is give him opportunities for those. What I mean is don't let it up for Cooper Rush to decide. Help him out by sending a tight end down the seam, getting CeeDee Lamb lined up on the safety and linebacker like they did last week, but they did not get it blocked up. Tony Pollard was in there. It was a touchdown, brother. It was there. Dak was going there. He couldn't get it off because he got hit at the same time because they didn't block it up. But give him that option to do so in a sense. Not necessarily for like a clear out, but, hey, we got it what we wanted. We got the look we wanted. Here it is. And then he takes that shot. Because even though he wasn't particularly great from an accurate standpoint in Minnesota or Tampa on deep shots, he did throw them.
Right.
He did throw them. So I think he's going to do it again tonight or today, just depending on if it hits.
Now, granted, you dealt with a much better defense on the outside last week in Tampa Bay. I think Eli Apple is a guy who can definitely give up a two-play. Yeah. I mean, like, Eli Apple is definitely a guy
100%.
who can give you a couple of those YOLO balls in your favor because he's not. You pop on the tape for years with Eli Apple, and it shows. This is a guy who gives up a lot of big plays in coverage. He talks a big game, but he don't always live up to the big game. So if there's a shot to be taken, and we've seen what Cheeto is as well, if there are some shots to be taken, but you got to hit because even though the cornerbacks may be a little sus, Von Bell and Jesse Bates, they aren't.
They aren't, yeah.
And they will make you pay if you just if you YOLO up it a little bit too long. They'll make you pay the price and intercept that thing.
Well, I won't go as far as calling this quarterback a YOLO quarterback, but my apologies on the music, y'all. Let me turn this down. But Joe Burrow will throw that thing up.
Yes.
Joe will give you a shot. He did it last week against Pittsburgh. And I likened him to, I'm not saying he has the same arm as these guys, but Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. They're so good and confident in how they throw the rock, they'll try to fit it in all these spots.
Yes.
And I know people don't believe this happens, but, hey, they miss. They miss more often than you think. These guys miss. And Joe threw 4 interceptions last week, 3 really bad ones. The other one he got hit or whatever. But, hey, that's part of this offense. So I called him Burrow's boys, man, because he's got some weapons out there. We don't know if I don't know if T. Higgins, my apologies, I should have looked at that for the inactives for the Bengals. But I'm pretty sure the chat will let me know. But even without T. Higgins, I don't think it'll matter. I think Joe Burrow will try to go out there and get the ball into his guys' hands like Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, and that damn dog, Jamar Chase. You were talking about potential opportunities with Eli. Chase is on the case, as Tony Romo would say. If you got kids, you know what I'm talking about here. Chase came out and was talking the other day. I don't even think he was disrespectful. He just was like, yeah, he's a playmaker. He makes plays on the ball. He's fast. He's athletic. But he's not technically sound. And, I'm going to leave it at that. To me, you're a receiver. That to me sound like, and let me let y'all see his face. That to me sounds like he looked at the tape and was like,
tape. He goes back to college and go,
yeah, college, yeah, true, yeah.
He goes, I ate him up in college.
And I don't like the sound of it.
I love it. I love it because of this. The stitching that is in the fabric of the national football, of pro sports in general, is the trash talk.
Yeah.
It's the confident trash talk of, I'm nice, you know I'm nice, I'm really nice, and I'm about to show you. And especially if I already gave you some work prior to, now I'm really talking spicy. And so his comments was basically just like, you always give the political answer. He's a good athlete, he's fast, this and that. But then he threw it in there, he was like, oh, but there's plays to be made on him.
Yeah.
He's either all in or he's all out. And I'm letting y'all know that I'm all in. And now he's getting ready to see a real dog today. I absolutely love that. Now, what does Diggs do? Do you hear that and you step up? Because this is iron on iron right here.
Yes.
This is iron on iron. You lock horns right now. This is what separates those from the other. This is separates the greats from the average. This puts you in a different categories when you can when Michael Irvin and Deion Sanders or Deion and Jerry Rice, when you get a chance to lock up with the best, this is now when you can go ahead and say, oh, nah, put me in that category because I locked this dude up. So this is going to be an interesting thing. I love it. I love arrogant, cocky talk because this is the stitching in the fabric that keeps the NFL alive, pro sports alive. And either you live up to it or you become
a meme.
A meme. Facts. You become a meme. So this is going to be very, very, very interesting. And to your point, you saw a lot of what Joe Burrow did last week with those 4 interceptions. This is a guy who didn't play all of preseason, missed a ton of training camp. He had the appendectomy surgery and was kind of feeling his way back. I don't think he's going to throw 4 interceptions today. I think he'll give you opportunities to make a play on the football. But this is a guy who is not afraid to take chances on his guys, and his guys come up big, especially that guy like Tyler Boyd on 3rd down. And the one guy that I don't want us to miss, because you're talking about that defense might be on the field a long time sometimes, and sometimes you might find yourself in a little bit of LVE versus Mixon coverage. Mixon had 65 yards receiving last week. He had 83 yards rushing, 65 yards receiving. He had a total over 100 yards of total offense from scrimmage. They're going to get him the ball in space. They're going to do it in screen game. They're going to do it in bubbles. They're going to get him the ball. And now, will you be able to bring him down? Because if he gets that going, that opens up those lanes because the linebackers have to suck up and all that middle of the field, and guys can do crossing and all that other kind of stuff to get open and make plays.
They do one thing I noticed on film, they do an exceptional job of creating space for their, I say, secondary options, because I still do believe this is one of those systems where they're looking to hit the deep ball first. They push their receivers so far upfield. They're the opposite of the Cowboys, where the Cowboys are very much hitch curl. When I say quick, it's really not quick like we want it to be, but it's hitch, curl, short stuff, right? And then occasionally we'll run a seam route or a 9 route or something like that. They are pushing it. I mean, their digs are 20 yards downfield. So there's all this space, right? And Joe Mixon will boom, 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 and now I'm 8 yards.
Yeah.
Easy 8 yards. So you're right. That matchup does worry me a little bit. And it's not just him, because Anthony Barr is, let's be honest, he's still trying to get his legs up under him because he came into camp a little bit late. And he looked a bit sluggish last week. So, yeah, the running back on linebacker matchup, and don't forget Hayden Hurst on those linebackers as well, is going to be a matchup to watch. But as I showed here in the, if I can bring him back here, in these highlights, the way to disrupt them, though, is going to be getting pressure. The Pittsburgh Steelers, it's a good defense. It's a good defense. Alex Highsmith had 3 sacks last week. Cam Hayward is a problem. Their interior line was pushing their interior line. I'd argue Dallas has a really goddamn good defense and a good, front 7 with DeMarcus Lawrence and Michael Parsons and Neville Gallimore, Osa, Big Bo. Like, these guys are capable.
But see, here's why I push back a little bit and talk about having a good defense. I think Micah's good. I think Tank's good.
Sure.
I don't know if Neville and those guys are Cam. They're not Cam Hayward. They're not those interior guys who are making that pocket collapse and then now giving those edge guys. Yeah, life is pretty difficult when you got the Defensive Player of the Year coming off the edge. You see what I'm saying? So now if I'm making that pocket tight, now that edge becomes a little bit more shorter. So now you got T.J. Watt coming off the edge. You got Cam Hayward pushing up the middle and other guys like that to create that pressure in the pocket. I want to see those guys, to your point, your Neville Gallimores. I want to see your Osas. You won't see Basketballs. He'll be out. I want to see those big boys up front push the middle of the pocket, because that's going to help create shorter corners for Tank. Because what happens now is the quarterback has nowhere to step up. So what does he have to do? He has to retreat. And when he retreats, now that corner becomes a lot more shorter, and then there's no hump for them to run because it's condensed. It's broken down in the middle. Now I can get I can get Micah to the quarterback. I can get Tank to the quarterback. I can get hopefully Fowler to the quarterback. And now that speeds up Joe Burrow. So if you can watch the Pittsburgh game and say, wow, they really got after him. But we have to have the guys in the middle of that defense really do their job exceptionally well so that our other really good Pro Bowl level guys can get after the quarterback.
There's no denying that, and they're soft in the middle. Their center, we played probably the best of all three of the guys, but Alex Kappa and I think the dude's name is Volson. They just weren't very good. Volson gave up 7 pressures from the. You can't do that from the interior. The one thing I can count on from a Neville and from a Bohanna, at least from what I've seen from camp and in the first week and in preseason, is those boys are strong. Those boys can push you back, and I saw the Volson kid get walked a bunch of times last week. But if they don't, I watched Alex Highsmith just terrorize whoever number 73 is. Micah's going to probably be on that side. Oh, guess who's on the other side? Lyle Collins. Listen, Lyle was fighting. He was fighting for his life against T.J. Watt.
And a lot of tackles do.
And they do.
A lot of tackles. This is
and he battled. Don't get me wrong.
This is the defending NFL Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, but guess what? He's rolling. The
second place
is coming
guy.
out
Right,
here
right.
this week. So I do think we have an advantage.
Yes.
Up front.
I agree.
From D-Law and Micah against those tackles, and I do like our interior guys against their interior, and I do also have to count Micah Parsons sometimes as on the interior.
Yes.
Now, I didn't notice Micah rush a lot from the A and B gaps last week. He got a lot of his pressures and all of his sacks from, abusing the left tackle. And hell, man, he's such a specimen that there was no interior pressure, but Micah is just ridiculous.
Right.
So I think they can, I don't want to use the word rattle because my man got sacked 7 times. It did not matter to Joe.
He got sacked every game 5 times in his run to the Super Bowl.
It didn't matter.
He was getting dumped on his head all playoff long last year. He just kept getting up, delivering the ball, getting up, delivering the ball.
Yeah.
And to your point, this is the thing that about this offense is you can sack them, you can turn the ball over on them, you can push them back, and they're like, okay, but our next play is going to be 40 yards.
That goes all the way back to the offense. Like, the defense, I said this on my show, the defense could legitimately get 2 turnovers and sack Joe Burrow 5 times. I don't think it's going to phase Zach Wilson, Joe Burrow, Chase, the offensive line, 1 iota.
No.
I don't think they're going to switch up what they do because I've watched them do that last year. I've watched them do that last week. All right, I threw 4 interceptions. Guess what? I'm still throwing that rock downfield. I moved us down there to get in field goal range. The kicker just missed it.
Right.
In fact, I scored to go ahead and win the game.
Right.
The kicker just missed
Right.
it. So,
Like let that just simmer for a second.
Yeah.
Like let it just don't just gloss over it. Let that simmer. He threw 4 interceptions.
Was sacked 7 times.
Sacked 7 times.
Probably
and they
pressured
had a
double that.
fumble. Right?
Yeah.
And so 5 turnovers, sacked 7 times, probably a ton of pressures, a ton of hits that don't even count as sacks. And he still put his football team against, if we had to go man for man on a roster, probably a better defense than ours in Pittsburgh. If we would now, we have the superior player. Well, I can't even say that because they had the defending defensive player of the year.
It's debatable, but nonetheless, a good defense.
A really good defense.
Yeah.
And they were still a blocked extra point away from winning the football game.
These dudes are not going to go away.
They're like Rocky. They're like Rocky against Drago. They're not going away. They're going to keep coming at you, and they're thinking to themselves, you may beat me for 11 rounds, but if I catch you with this haymaker, 1, 2, it's out. He's over. So that's the kind of offense that you're, from a defensive perspective, and this is why it's so imperative for our defense not to be on the field for an extended period of time, because they're not going to stop throwing haymakers no matter what.
They're not. And I think the biggest matchup, if they can control the line of scrimmage, if they can kind of slow down Joe Mixon and make this thing muddy and ugly, it is going to come down to Diggs and come down to Jamar Chase. I thought the Steelers, you might look at the box score. Like if you didn't watch the game, you see Jamar Chase had 10 receptions for 159 yards. Oh, he went off. It wasn't necessarily the case. I thought they did a fantastic job of tackling him. Jamar Chase got loose 1 time. He had like a good, nice little yacker. He did. No, there's no lie for that. But if you don't tackle this man, he can bust the game open and it's a wrap. I think Dallas, Diggs is not his strength in tackling, but I think Dallas is going to have to rally and tackle him because his average target of depth of reception, this is a big number here. When I say big number, an important number, was only 9 yards. So it wasn't like they were sending him downfield.
Right.
They were like, oh, you're respecting his speed and us pushing the field? You're going to play back 7 to 10 yards? And he threw it right to him. And Jamar Chase, and if you don't tackle him, he's gone.
Yes,
I run a quick slant. I run an over. I run a drag. They want to get the ball into his hands fast and let him do his work.
Wow,
so,
what a novel concept. Get the ball into your best player's hands as soon as you possibly can in open space and let him do what he does.
And, bro, it wasn't like difficult things. It wasn't anything spectacular. It was just like, oh, you 7, 8, 10 yards back? This is easy. Pitch catch.
This is the simplicity of football that people make difficult.
Yeah.
Hey, he's really, really, really good. Let's try taking this most valuable possession of football and put it in that really, really, really good football player's hands, and let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. All right, man, we're getting to the third block of the show where we do our high-low game, mouse in the house, and predictions, so y'all make sure y'all stick around for that. Let's start off with the high-low Underdog Fantasy Pick'em entries of the week. If you're not sure how this goes down, well, let me explain it to you, okay? Let me tell you. It's easy. It's fun. It's an easy and fun way to spice up your football season. Just head over to Underdog Fantasy and use their Pick'em game. Just look for your favorite or least favorite player's stats. Pick whether you think they'll end up with a higher or lower total than the number in this week's game, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. I got ripped off by Patrick Mahomes on Thursday. I had faith in him that he was going to score 3 touchdowns, and I would have won like 20 times my money, and it didn't happen, but I have fun with it, and I'm going to give it a shot. Again, listen, pick between 2 to 5 players for your Pick'em entry. Get all your picks right, and you'll take home some cold, hard cash. It's easy. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app. Sign up with our promo code ATOZ, and they will double your first deposit up to $100. That's ATOZ, Underdog Fantasy. Get some action in today. All right, here's our high-low game for today. I got Cooper Rush. Higher or lower, 32 passing attempts.
Higher.
Okay, I went higher as well.
Higher. Because you're going to have to score points in this football game, ladies and gentlemen. I think the Bengals are going to score over 20-something points. So you're going to have to be able to put the ball in the air to score points because I don't think you're going to be able to run it for a ton of yards like that.
I went higher as well because for 2 reasons. I just, until I see it, I don't trust Kellen Moore to stick to the ground. Even with the backup, because we saw what happened last year.
And you know
it 40 times.
And here is funny. Who you are will always show up in pressure situations. Kellen Moore is a quarterback at heart. What do quarterbacks always want to do?
Throw the ball.
They want to throw the football. So I don't care how much you try to, who he is and his core, his being is a quarterback. Yeah. And they always want to pass the football. So, if it was a defensive head coach, he's always going to play to the defense. Kellen Moore is an offensive play caller. He's a former quarterback. It's naturally embedded in who he are, his DNA, to pass the football. So it's over for me.
Yes, so a twofold for me. The Kellen Moore factor, and this kind of also is Kellen Moore, but they're going to need to they're going to feel the pressure to keep up. And this is going to sound crazy. The score may be 10-3, 13-3, but that's going to feel
heavy,
like a 20-point lead to
yes.
Kellen Moore probably.
Yes.
So that's going to lead them to probably throw the ball a little bit more. And I don't know if it's going to be like a cool game plan where they're getting it to their guys at the line of scrimmage or behind the screens. I don't know. They need to, but I just feel like it may hit that higher there at 32. So I got a higher on Cooper Rush. This one is a little bit more interesting. Joe Burrow. Higher or lower, 267.5 passing yards. Higher or lower, Cowboys Nation? Higher or lower, Jesse?
I'm going to go lower. And the reason being, I think they're going to take an approach like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Once we get a lead, they're going to bleed the clock out. They're going to run the football more, Samaje P. Ryan, Joe Mixon, and just try to keep that defense on the field the Cowboys defense on the field as long as they possibly can and not let Joe Burrow go out there and do some of the YOLO things that Joe Burrow has been known to do. They're going to come out, probably get an early lead in this game, and so I'm going to say under 267.5.
So I also have that thought as well, but I'm going to take the positive side to it so we're not reiterating ourselves. I also think it'll be lower because I think the defense will show up today.
Okay.
I think the defense is going to make it tough on this team because I trust – that's one thing I do trust is Dan Quinn and his defense to come out there and just make it hard for any opponent that they face. So, yes, if they do get a 10-point lead, it may just be like, all right, that's enough. We just handed to Joe Mixon and let's just bleed this clock. But also because, it's going to be tough. Unless they get a bunch of yak yards and Boyd and those boys and Chase just, eat them up in that way, I feel like the defense will show up. So I think I'm going to go lower there. And then finally, Tony Pollard, the second week in a row Tony's made it here. Higher or lower 17.5 receiving yards. I think this is the easiest one. Boy, it better be higher.
Higher. I don't sound confident.
Time out. Y'all gotta see his face. He struggled with that one.
I'm gonna go higher, but I'm not that confident.
That should be so. Tony Pollard should be getting 20 receiving yards every week,
but he doesn't, and he
goofy,
hasn't,
man.
And he hasn't, and that is the biggest thing is that we have and have had playmakers on this team who have not been added into the mix of stuff. And Tony Pollard has probably been the one who's been victimized the most of being able to get him in spots and spaces to allow him to be extremely successful. So today,
bro, they disrespect Tony. They really treat him like he Lance Dunbar. Gadgets, we're going to do the Wildcat.
Yeah.
Triple double dog there, reverse, 18 yards behind. Like, what are we doing?
That's
Tony
what I'm
Pollard
saying.
can play.
But that's what I'm saying. But at what point in time do they say what we're saying?
I don't know, man.
Because we'll see flashes of it and here and there, and then they'll go, oh, that's too good. Let me step away from that.
Here's what they do. This is so crazy to me. Here's what they do. Instead of utilizing him as a playmaker, they go, oh, bet. We need a big play right now. We got the matchup we want with C.D. Lamb on the linebacker and safety. Instead of putting your better pass blocker, like there's no lie about this. Zeke is a better pass blocker. We're going to throw Tony Pollard out there, who's been struggling all game to pass block.
All his career. Like, it ain't just a game, it's a career.
Well, I defend him a bit because there was times where Tony actually did okay as a pass blocker, but I never thought it was enough to be like, this is the dude you want to roll out there on 3rd and 15 to pass block. It's frustrating. So let me calm myself down.
That's a smart thing Mike McCarthy's talking about, being smart.
Yeah, you got to be smarter. So they were just doing weird things with Tony last week. It's not complicated. Do regular, normal running back things with Tony Pollard from a running
Jerry
and pass
Jones
catching
said 1 +
standpoint.
1 is 3, so.
Well, make it 2 today. Make it 2 today. All right, man, we got about 9 minutes left before kickoff, and we got to get to our mouse in the house. You already hinted at mine. You can go ahead with it. I will agree with you if this is your mouse in the house for the Cowboys to take advantage of. But if it's somebody else, you let me know. But I'd be surprised if it ain't.
It's Lyle Collins.
Oh,
to me.
That actually is a different one than mine. Okay, cool.
Oh, it's Lyle Collins. It's you attack. You attack. Michael Irvin has a saying is, you beat a man when you attack him and beat him at his strengths. You break a man when you attack a man and beat him at his you beat a man when you attack him at his weaknesses, but you break a man when you attack a man at his strengths and win. And so I think you go ahead and you attack Lyle Collins because he's going to be up for this game.
Yeah.
But you saw on film last week, missed a lot of training camp. The offense came back and Jalen Waddle just have a almost game-winning touchdown.
Wow, I completely dismissed that game.
Yeah, I did too. 41-38, they're up right now. Yeah, so for me, it's the mouse in the house for me is attack Lyle Collins. Attack him with Tank, but most importantly, I put Micah on him.
Yeah.
And I know that he helped Micah when he came.
Don't matter.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
Excuse my language.
It don't matter. Let Daniel's son whoop up on Mr. Miyagi. Let him tear him up as much as you possibly can. So for me, the mouse in the house is the guy who left here, who wasn't in shape, who's to me still got bad hips and bad backs, doesn't move too well.
He does not deal with the speed.
No, that's the mouse in the house. And I'm taking my NASCAR. I'm taking Jeff Gordon. I'm taking him, Micah Parsons, and I'm lining them up over Lyle, and I'm saying, go hunt.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think you could attack those guys. Speaking of the tackles in general, but yeah, that's actually a good one. I'm going to go with.
When Michael, when you get there, don't just sack them. Strip sack. Strip them. Make some plays when you get there.
Yeah, we need more. We need that.
Yes.
There's going to be. I had one more question I had to get to you before we go. So I'll quickly get to my mouse in the house. And this is the harder one. It's Eli Apple.
Yeah.
I think Eli Apple is the mouse in the house from a receiving standpoint, but I think it's easier to shield him, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, instead of putting Wuzier on Lamb, we're going to put Eli on Lamb and put a safety over top and hope our pass rush gets there. So that'll be the easy one. I'm so mad I waited this long to do this, but let's just go ahead and get out the way before kickoff. Who's under more pressure? This was the one I wanted to do on our podcast, by the way. Cowboys 4th and Long every Wednesday. We're going to be recording. Make sure y'all check that out. We had a fantastic debut episode. Yes, it's church session.
Church session.
It's your Wednesday Bible study. Come through, okay? And I'm your youth pastor, all right? But so who's under more pressure? And I'm going to be real quick with this one. Kellen Moore this week because of what happened last week. You got a new quarterback. Or Dan Quinn, because this defense is going to have to play damn near perfect.
Oh, this is easy. This is Kellen Moore all day.
Okay.
Dan Quinn has
built to make it tough.
No. Dan Quinn has built up enough credits.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean pressure if something happens. I mean pressure for today, like today's pressure.
It's Kellen Moore.
Okay.
It's still Kellen Moore. Because you have to figure out. I mean, Dan Quinn is like, listen, I'm gonna do what I do.
Yeah.
But you gotta give me something.
Gotta give me something.
You gotta give me like I'm gonna go out here and do everything. I'm gonna sick the dogs on them. I got it. But damn.
Yeah, give me
more than 3 points.
Yeah.
Damn. Get into the opposing team's red zone. Damn. Don't have that many 3 and outs. Damn. Don't turn the football over. Damn. At least be a threat when you go out on the football field. Damn. Put together a game plan that's going to actually give us an opportunity to succeed on offense. Damn, don't put everything on Micah Parsons' back. Damn, you sure do play a lot of those guys on that offensive side of the ball. Damn, do something with the running game. You were averaging 5 and 6 yards of carries last week. Damn, do something. 2 of y'all together. It's only one of me. It's 2 of y'all over there with all of the resources. All of the money's on that side of the ball. Damn, give your boy a break.
I am not coming behind that. You right. You right. You absolutely right. Man, can we get some fire emojis for that damn sermon we just got from Jesse Holley? All right, predictions. What you got today?
Damn. It's going to be another loss for the Cowboys. I got the Bengals 24, the Cowboys 10. And I think their 10 comes off of pressure by Micah Parsons, strip sack, fumble, and then you see the first touchdown of the year by Zeke Elliott in the run because they sacked him. No, I'll take that back. I'm going to change it back. It's going to be a sack on Joe Burrow, backed up. They're going to punt the ball to midfield. Kevontae Turpin is going to have a really good return back into the red zone. Zeke's going to walk in from 17 yards out for a touchdown. But it's going to be 10 points only for the Cowboys offense. 24-10 Bengals.
Gonna need Turpin to do some things here. Need Turpin to do some things.
Oh, you mean the guy who they dubbed Devin Hester, the guy they dubbed Deion Sanders because he had 2 preseason punt returns back for a touchdown? Oh, punt return, kick return. Life a little different. Hey, you want to do something today? Come on, Turpin. Look at Duvernay. He opened up the game with a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Fact.
You want to contribute? Now's your opportunity. They need it.
Well, for me,
No.
my mind's telling me no.
You know they locked him up, right? You know they locked him up for his craziness. So if you want to be,
but my body is telling me these allergies is hurting, dog. God damn, I had to take my glasses off, man, because these allergies is hurting. But we good now. I see clearly now.
I can see clearly now. The rain is gone.
My heart. I told you, being a fan of the team and also being a reporter and also being an analyst is hard. My heart really wants the Cowboys to get this dub. My body, my soul. I was driving in today, and I had the Cowboys, losing, but I see the stadium, I see the fans, and I got fired up. And then I became the reporter and analyst and objective person that I am in my mind. I had to put the shades away. I had to put my real clear eyes on. And I just don't see it happening, man. I just think it's so much to overcome. This is a good team, good quarterback, good coach team, good defense. But I will say this. I do think the offense will play better this week. I mean, it's hard to play worse, right? It can happen. I heard your podcast. It can happen. But I do think the offense plays better today because I think you'll have a quarterback who did play in the preseason, so he'll be a little bit more, I think, in tune, right? He's practiced with some of these guys. I think Kellen Moore, the pressure's on. I think Mike McCarthy is going to try to slow this game down a bit. I think they'll have a better game plan. I can't imagine they'll have a worse one. So I do think they will be better. But I still only think they'll score 13 points.
Yeah.
And that may not even be from the offense. Hell, who we know may be the special teams. So I do have this game 13-23 Bengals. But I'll leave some room for this defense and special teams to say something about it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, if your offense can give you 13, then defense I need you to give me 6. Special teams I need you to give me 6. It may not be fair to ask for, but I think that to contribute. And I mean, that's why I think it is a lot of pressure on this defense today. I feel like they got to score. I feel like they have to score. They lost to the Trubisky's, the fighting Pittsburgh Trubisky's last week, man, because the defense scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for them to do that. But I do think at the end of the day, when my heart's not in it, they do lose this game 23-13, Cincinnati Bengals. That hurt.
Tough.
That hurt. Because 0-2 is ugly.
Yeah.
But that will do it. Kickoff is happening almost as we speak. Cowboys Nation, y'all make sure y'all come back here at halftime. For Jesse, Holley, Skywalker Steele, this is A to Z Sports Game Day Live, presented by Underdog Fantasy Pregame Show. We out of here. Peace.
I'm in my zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it soul. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a walk for wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.